Just a second. Yeah. For the timing, I think you guys attended the yesterday's class, and let's have a quiz of that. Those who have already joined, we should not waste time for those guys. And I'm putting a link on the chat window. I would request you, because this is your learning process, and right now there is no invigilation on you. So would request you to do this very honestly. It is very easy based on the first class that we had yesterday. And also, again, reiterating, it is no one is invigilating you. You have Google available, you have everything around you. But again, would request you to do this as honestly as you can, because it is all around your learning. So, and also, please don't share this link with your friends and other participants who will be joining us in the evening today. So that would be better for all. So those who have joined just now, so reiterating that let's have a quiz for on the class that we conducted yesterday, and I'm pasting the link of a Google form in the chat window. I will share it soon, and request you to give it as honestly as possible, and not go around haywire and cheat on the Google. Thank you. So here you go. Let us discuss the quiz, and then we can move forward. So okay, the merge and center option is found in the alignment group of home ribbon, and not tab, of home ribbon. And the right order here is tabs, then we have ribbons, and then we have the groups in which we find the rest of the functionalities. The cell with the cell naming culture is the column comes first and then the row, so D14. The intersection of rows and columns is called a cell, true or false? Yes, it is true. The grid lines are also printed when we print an Excel sheet. No, they are not printed. So this is false. Shortcut for copying the value of the cell just above it is Control plus D. A group of sheets in Excel is called worksheet, true or false? This is false. A group of sheets in Excel is called a workbook and not a worksheet. Select the correct number of rows and columns in an Excel sheet. This is the question that trickled everyone here. So it is the option B here. We have 10,48,576 rows with 16,384 columns. And after merging cells, you can split a merged cell into a separate cell again. This is true. The multiplication of sign in Excel is an asterisk, which is a star. So congratulations to those who have done well. And I don't think so there are people who have done very bad in the quiz. So the class average is good and it is more than 6. So I am happy with that. Now, any question that we have from yesterday's class? Okay, so how do we name a sheet? Vidhi, just let me give you an example here. If you, wherever the sheet name is written, just double click it and rename it. Okay, you just have to double click and rename it. So the function of F4 key, I will come to that today because there were a lot of people who did not understand the use of $sign. So that was on my agenda to redo this today with you guys. I will do it again. Any other questions that you have? Okay, so as you see, I have two series here, series 1 and series 2. These are just random numbers that I have picked in to just help us with the $sign on which a lot of us were confused yesterday. So let's do a multiplication of these, like 6 multiplied by 18, 4 multiplied by 12, etc. So let's do a multiplication. How do we do it? An equal to sign will begin the formula. Then we select this cell, then an asterisk, which is a star, and then the next cell to which we want to multiply it. We hit on enter and then we get our result, right? So this is multiplication 1 that we are doing. Similarly, we'll do multiplication 2 and 3. You see how it moved from 1, 2, and 3. I did not name it. It is just the pull from left to right using this plus sign that appears. Okay, so I will drag this formula down to all the cells in this range. I'll go to the last cell here with the help of control and down. Control and down will take me here. I'll put on a right, shift and control and up will help me select everything which is above this, and control D again will copy the cells which are one above it. So 108 gets copied into this cell, then the again cell that gets copied into the other cell. Right? Now what is happening, if you see, I am multiplying two cells A2 and B2, right? When I am changing this formula to one cell to the other, the A value and the B values are also changing, right? Here we had A2 and B2. If I go to the next one, we have A3 and B3, right? There is, I think that is clear to everyone. So whenever we are changing, copying and pasting a formula from one cell to the other, then the relativity will also change as per the next cell. So if I am moving the formula in C3, which is this one, right? Then the cell, the formula values also change from A2 to A3 and B2 to B3, right? So in this is a normal multiplication, and you can see everywhere it is changing from the other value above it and giving it a one advanced value. So A7 changed to A8 and B7 changed to B8, right? Now what happens is there is a sign called dollar in Excel, right? This dollar sign is a fixer. So if I copy this formula and paste it here, you see, now it is multiplying B2 into C2. If I copy this formula and paste it here, now it is multiplying C2 and D2. So I'll repeat. The first multiplication I saw was for A2 and B2. I just copied this formula and moved to a right cell. Now in this cell, it is doing B2 and C2. It has moved one cell towards the right. Okay. So the blue one was here first and the red one was here. In the next, the blue one has shifted to the right and the red one has also shifted to the right. In the next one, the blue one has shifted one more towards the right. Also, the red one has shifted one more towards the right. So why it is happening? Because our formula is not fixed. As soon as we copy it furthermore, it will keep on multiplying the adjacent two columns and keep on moving the formula. But we don't want that, right? So what we use something called a dollar sign, which fixes the value, freezes the value. Okay. I now have to multiply series 1 with series 2. Now with the help of dollar sign, I can do 4 things, right? With F4, it starts, right? I have it on the first cell in which I am multiplying. I hit F4 for ones. When I am giving F4, hitting F4 for ones, look, it is adding dollar in front of A as well and 2 as well. So there is $A and $2, right? If I hit one more time on F4, now what it is doing, it has removed dollar from A, and the dollar at 2 is constant. Now if I do it one more time, it has moved that dollar to A, but the 2 remains constant, right? If I do it once again, it comes back to normal. So I'll help you with the same once again. So what is happening? Let's do for B. I hit on F4, $B and $2. I hit on F4 once again. B without dollar, then 2 is with dollar. I hit on F4 once again. I have dollar with B and not with 2. Hit on F4 once again, it is normal. So as we know that A, B, C and D define what? They define the columns, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, they are defining the rows. So if we are doing this star, this, and pressing F4, so this says $A and $2. Now what it is doing, it is freezing the row also, and it is freezing the column also. So a dollar in front of A is freezing the column, and the dollar in front of 2 is freezing the row. So the cell is frozen now. Now if I multiply it, it gives me 108. I do the same Control D to all the values. Now see, I have the same $A and $2, which is getting multiplied by B3 now. So A3 has changed to B3, but because of the dollar sign, A2 did not change to A3, which was in this case, right? In the multiplication 1, so in the multiplication 1, we did not use any dollar sign. So A2 did not change to A3. A2 did change to A3, but in here, A2 did not change to A3 because we had a dollar sign here. So this is how we are freezing a cell. Now what happens is, if we want to keep the row frozen and we don't want the column to be frozen, right? So what do? We copy this formula here and multiply it again with B2 only. And now what we do press on F4 once again. So now my A is not frozen, and the 2 is frozen. So it will take only value from row 2, but it will not, it will change the column if I move from left to right. See, so if I'm moving down, it is giving me the same results, right, as this one. Right? But if I move from left to right, I copy this formula and I do it here. Now what is happening? See, the 2 is frozen, but A changed to B, right? If I copy this below, look at the example. Now the 2 is frozen, but it changed to B. I do it one more. So the 2 is again frozen. It is taking the value from the row 2, but the column has shifted from B to C, right? Now let's do the example for the other case. Now in the other case, what I have, again A2 into B2, but now I will fix the column, right? Now when I fix the column and can do a control D here, again, see what is happening. $A2 multiplied by B2. Now $A3 multiplied by B3. Now what is happening? The 2 here changed to 3, but A has remained the same, right? Now if I copy this formula to a right hand column, see the difference. What it makes is, now the A is frozen, right? But the B2 from here changes into C2, right? But the B3 from here changes into C3, but the $A3 value remained the same. So this is very helpful whenever you either need to freeze a single cell, then we use dollar on the both sides. If you want to freeze just the column, then we use the dollar on the name of the column, A, B, C, and etc. If you want to freeze the row, then we use the dollar on the numeric digit of that cell, which is 1, 2, 3. I hope this makes a lot clearer for the dollar value sign. Any questions? So whenever you have any questions, I have opened the chat window. Just let me know and I'll answer those in a regular interval. So now today what we'll do, today we have some different kind of exercises. Just let me share. Okay. So Excel has an amazing functionality of delimit. So what do we call it? It is called as delimit. So delimit is basically breaking the data. Like I give you an example here. I have full name and I want to break this full name into first name and last name, right? So Excel gives us a functionality of breaking this without typing, right? We have a different example also. So let us work on this example first. So as you see, in this order ID from the example that we did yesterday, the bill number, I have 3 things that are representing. So the first 2 digits in this order ID is the country code, like CA for Canada, US for United States, etc. Then we have a dash here. After that, we have the year. And then we have the invoice number. But your manager comes to you and says, break this order ID into country, year, and invoice number, right? So Excel gives you a functionality to do that with a formula of delimiting. So what do? We copy this, select all, Control C, and paste it here, right? Now we select the data which we need to break. We select this data. right? And just a second. So we were on the home tab. We selected this data. Now we move to data tab here. If you can see that we move to data tab and use this column text to columns, this functionality of text to columns. So we click on this text to columns. Now it is basically asking, choose the file type that best describes your data. So do you want to delimit or do you want to fixed width? So we have two options, delimited, as you can see, and fixed width. So in delimited, we'll do both of these things. So in delimited, characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. So here that character we have is a dash, which is between the country code. Then we have a dash, then the year, then we have a dash. So this is a consistent database. So we have a dash as a character which is separating these things. So we can use that and use the functionality of delimiting. So in the next, we select the delimited option first here, and then we do a next. So in the next, it is asking with which character do you want to break this data? Do you want to use a semicolon? Do you want to use a comma? Do you want to use a space or a tab? But neither of them are in my data, right? I don't, my separator is a dash and not a comma, right? And it is also not a space. So what do? I go to other. The text option opens here and I put this dash here. The minus sign also, we can say that. So you see how it, as soon as I am putting here, it has broken the data into the 3 rows that we need: the country, the year, and the bill number, right? So we do a next. Now it is asking me what is the format. So there might be some numeric and some non-numeric data, right? Like the country code is a non-numeric data. It is a text type data, right? For that, we have text. So we'll select text for that, right? The next one is an year. So we'll keep it as a number, which is general. Then we have the bill number. Again, we'll keep it as a general. So what I'm doing, I'm selecting here with my mouse key and then selecting the data type. I want the column data format to be again like this. And I hit on finish. See, it has broken my data as per my requirements, right? So it has broken the order ID into the country code, into year, and into invoice number. I have also shared the workbooks with you prior. So if you guys want to practice it alongside with me, please go ahead and do this. So we have broken the order ID into country, year, and invoice number. Let's do one more example of delimiting for the names that we were discussing, right? So what do we do here? Again, we copy this. So right now I have this data which is very cleaned and perfect, as it has only 2 names, the first name and the last name. But in the future, when you are handling data types like these, you might get a middle name as well. So you have to be careful for that, right? So I copy this and I paste it here, right? Now, what do? I go to data tab here, right? Go to text to columns. Now it is asking me to delimit it. Yes, I want to delimit it. Next. Now it has saved my previous delimiting option, right? I chose the other one option in the last example. So I uncheck this because here my delimiter is not dash, right? Here my delimiter is what? It is space. So let us see if it is space or not. Let us see, we don't have a semicolon, right? It is not breaking the data with semicolon. So let us do it space. So the space acts as a special character in Excel. So as soon as we put in a space as a delimiter, now see it has separated my first name and my last name out of the full name that we had. So we go to next. Now both of these are text data and not number data. So what do I do? This is selected. I check on the text option here. In the next one also I do a text option here and finish. Okay. So now see, it has separated the first name and the last name out of the full name. So this was separation with text to column. Now Excel has been very much advanced in the recent times, and it has its own formulas now which you even don't want to use and would not even want to have write those formula before Excel doing work on its own. So in the first example we broke down the invoice number, right? In the second one we broke down the full name with the help of text to columns. But in data like this, in the the data like full name or something which is around country and state, something around that, Excel has knowledge of itself to do this in some of the recent versions that have come in. So we call that as flash fill, right? So in the flash fill option, what do? We just start typing, right? The first name is like Claire Guet. So what do I do? I start Claire, right? The first name for this is Claire. I hit an enter and then I start for the next Darren. Now see, I just typed DA and you see Excel has started giving me, do you want Sean in the next one? Do you want Brosina in the next one? Do you want Andrew in the next one? And I'm like, yes, I want this. So can you do this for me? So with just an hit of enter, I have all the first names out of the full name label. Similarly, it can be done for the last name. Just look this very carefully. So what do? I just start typing it. Okay. Gute. The next one was, so I just had to type V and it has given me the option of this very simple thing of flash fill, that do you want Smith in the next one, Hoffman in the next one, Allen in the next one? I'm yes. And I hit on enter. Voila. I have the names separated with the help of flash fill. So these are two things that you can use to separate the data if they are combined in one. One is text to columns and the other here is the flash fill option, right? So there was one more thing in the text to column option, which was, let me take this data to another sheet and let's do it once again. Don't worry on the shortcuts that I'm using. By the end of this course, I think you guys will be also doing the same thing with me. So now there was an option, which is a second option. So what do? I select everything here. I go to the data tab, text to columns. Now you see there is an option of fixed width, right? So in the option of fixed width, what do? We select this and we go for next, right? Now it is asking to create a break line, click at the desired position. To delete a break line, double click on the line, and to move a break line, click and drag it, right? So what is a break line? So as soon as I click after CA, you see there is a line that has been generated here. You see this? If I click again, there is a line generated after the dash. If I click again, because I want it after 4 characters, which will be my year, then I don't want the dash, and then the last one can remain without clicking. So what we have done here is we have given the position to Excel where to break my data from, right? Now I click on next. Also you can move this wherever like this as well. So whenever you want, you double click, it will go away. So let's bring it back, right? So we do a next. Now it is saying, asking me again the same option to select the column data format. So the first one is text. Now the next one is a dash. I don't want a dash in between, right? So I would say do not import column. This option in the last, this will skip it. In the next one, I'll give it a general. Again, I have a dash. So what do? I say do not import this column, skip this. So in the next one, I have again the general, and we are done. So we did not copy it in the right, so it has broken from here. So as you can see, now we have the same results like this we had for country, year, and invoice number, and here. So you have two options always. If you don't have anything of called as a delimiter, so use the use the fixed width option. And if you have anything as a delimiter, go always with a delimiter option, because that will clear the data in a very efficient manner. Just give me a second. So I have given you the sheets. So I would request you to practice with me as well. Let me look at the chat window now. So Atulji, Flashfill is available after the versions 2013 and later on. So it might not be available in 2007, right? So as we have the functionality of Excel, to break the data, it also has the functionality to join the data. Now, to join the data, we have three things that Excel offers us, right? Now, as I have this here, I need my full name. So I have first name and last name, right? But I also need my full name. So for that, what do? I use functionality of concatenation. Now in concatenation, I have three options that I can use. So I'll show you all the three options here. So the first one is concatenate. The next one is concat. And the last one is text join, right? So what happens is, let's use these functions one by one now. Any function again in Excel, any formula in Excel, we begin with equal to, right? So what do? We have concatenate. As soon as you start typing, it will give you. So we have this option of concatenate. I select this, hit on tab. Now it is asking me, give me text 1 and text 2. So what do? I select this text, comma. So comma is very necessary in all the functions of Excel. It is like defining defining moment kind of a function which comma acts as. So after commas, like here we have the text will change. In some of the functions after commas, the functionalities will change. So we'll do those functions as well. But do remember that comma is very necessary and it has to be used very accurately as well in Excel, because if you do it like this, a comma in between A and 3, then that will not work, right? So the A3 comma and B3. Now I close my bracket and I will have my full name, right? Let's see what comes in. So now as you see, I don't have a space in between them, which is weird, right? You cannot write a full name like this without a space, right? So we would need a space. So for the space, what do? In the formula, we enter a space, right? So as a comma is defining text 1, text 2, text 3 kind of a feature. Now in text 2, we put a space. We use a double colon here and write a space. We close it and again we give a comma. So now what is happening? It is concatenating A3, then a space, then B3, right? So let's hit enter and see if it comes the way we want to. Here we go. So I do a control D here. So now I have all my names, the space. So this is one functionality of using concatenation for joining two letters or two words, right? Now we have a separate function called concat, right? In concat, let's see what are the possibilities. I type in concat. Now concat is a range function, right? It can take both the things. So I do the same thing here, A3, then I have a space, then B3, and then I close it. Doing the same thing, right? But concat also helps us in taking some ranges. So concat can do this. Join these two things and enter. This might not be helpful because we need a space here, but a function of concatenate here, as you see, cannot take a range of cell like A3 to B3, and if I hit enter, it will give me an error of value, right? But a concat can do it, a concatenate cannot do it. So this is a major difference between a concat and a concatenate. So in here, we won't be able to use our concat because we would need a space, and for space we would have to, you know, add a space in between this and then use a concat. but for that version, then concat will not be able to help us. The best thing for you joining the text is a text join function. This is the function that I use the most. So the full name here with the text join I can get by equal to text join. I hit on tab. So see, now it is asking me a few functions to define this formula, right? Let me help you with the function button here. So do you see this fx option? So this helps you to define the formula very much correctly. So I open this. So this will open the arguments of the formula. So in the first thing, it is asking me a delimiter. So as we did a delimiter earlier, that what do you want in between? Do you want a dash? Do you want a tab? Do you want a space? So here we need a space. So what do? We do it within this and add a space in here, right? Now it is saying if there is a value in the range that we will select to join, if that is empty, do you want that value to be there or you don't want that value to be there? So do you want an extra empty space there or you don't want it? Obviously we would not want it. So ignore empty, we do it yes, true. So either you write it as true, right? That true, that we want to ignore the empty, but in Excel, 1 is always a true and 0 is always a false. So wherever the formulas we will be using, 1 acts as a yes, go ahead, and 0 act as a no, stop there, right? So ignore empty, I'll say 1, yes, go ahead. So now it is saying which text do you want to join? So I do the first name and the last name. I'll select this range. You see, this has been selected. And amazing thing about opening this function argument is that it will give you the result. So the formula result, as you see here, it is coming clear space gut. So this is something that we need that should be displayed. So our formula is good to go. We press on OK and we have the name, right? Similarly, we copy it. Now we control D it and we have the text join function working, right? One more thing. So as I told you, there are a lot of things in Excel that can be done in multiple ways, right? So first I'll tell you how did I insert this, so don't get confused. I select on the C, right click and then insert, right? I have another, so I will copy this and paste it here. Now I will use a function called ampersand. This and thing, which is above the 7 key that you have in your num key, we will use this to join things. So this and acts as a concatenate for joining 2 or more functions, right? Or 2 or more digits, 2 or more text, etc. So what do we do? Again, we start with an equal to sign like we do in all the Excels. We go with A3. We write an and here. And then we go with B3. Right? We hit on enter. See. It has given me A3 and B3 together. But again, we need a space, right? So what do? We add a space. So here we go. We add a space. You see? And again, we add an and. So this is A3 and space and B3, right? This is how we read it. We hit on enter, the same result we have. So we control D it here. So these 4 functions of and, concatenate, concat, and text join can be used for all the things related to joining the text fields or maybe the numeric fields. Any questions? Please write it in the chat window. I hope this is clear. This is very important, guys. So you should know how to join things and how to separate things. For a separator, I'll just remind you, in the data tab, we use text to columns. And for joining, we used these 4 formulas: ampersand, concatenate, concat, and text formula, right? Text join. Okay, great. So now we move to, okay, a request, please don't write the questions to me privately so that everyone here can see the questions. Yes, so I will answer one by one. Tusha here asks us, concat is represented by the and. So Tusha, these are 4 different functions that are doing the same thing, right? In a different kind of, a little different way. So an and is just writing an and in between the cell names. The cell names like A3 and B3 are the cell names. A concat here is again a function, a formula that is used, which is given by Excel and is done by equal to. So there's not much of a difference. Again, as soon as you start using Excel extensively, like I said yesterday and day before as well, you will get comfortable with few things, right? For me, text join is the best one. I use text join a lot because it gives me the option of just giving the delimiter in the first go, and then I have something like this. So I use the text join, but all these 4 things are doing the same thing. Yes, Preeti, we can use the text join without opening functions. So function can be opened for any formula. Like for this one, if I open like the concatenate one, if I open the function, I see here. So it is basically a help guide for you guys to to move ahead with the formulas. Like it will ask text 1, text 2, and it will give you some description of the formula as well, so that it is helpful for you. So any function anywhere you can go ahead and use with the function argument box. Okay. Sir, please tell again about the text join. Okay. I'll go ahead with that. So let's do it in a fresh file, right? I have this first name, last name, and then I have a full name, right? But sometimes what happens, and this will also help you understand why I use text join a lot. So we have middle names as well, right? In some of the names. So there are some people who prefer using middle names. So like Alan has a middle name called Mary, right? Then we have this Eric guy has a middle name called Pam, right? And then we can also have, for some more people here, Patrick has a middle name called John, Patrick John Burns, right? So out of my data, 3 people have a middle name, right? So what do? I go with an equal to for a text join. What do? I enter text join. Now it is saying me to select a delimiter. So the delimiter means by which special character do you want to break these texts. So a special character can be a space, it can be a dash, and it can be a star. Anything can be a special character. Then, but in this case, we'll use the space as a special character. So here, this is not blank. In this, I have a space in between, right? Then I put a comma. Now it is saying ignore empty. So middle names are empty for a lot of cases, right? So I would obviously want this function to ignore those empty columns and move ahead, right? So I will say yes, ignore empty. 1 means true in Excel, like I said, and 0 means false. Then a comma. Then it says select the text 1, text 2, and text 3. I give this range to it from A2 to C2, right? So what it is doing, join the text, right, from A2 to C2. I'm just speaking like how Excel understands this formula. Join the text from A2 to C2. Give a space in between all the text that you find. And if there is an empty cell, ignore it. Move forward, right? So this is how Excel understands it. And I hit on enter. So I have an excellent function written here, and Claire Gute comes in. Now, when I move it down, see, Andrew has a middle name called Mary, and we see here. Now, as Andrew had a middle name, the middle name appeared with spaces in between the first name and the last name. And similarly, it was not skipped because there was not an empty cell in between. So the 1 there was helpful and it did not skip it, right? I think this will be more clearer now. So in the ampersand sign, it is just an easy way to combine things. How do you do it? You just put in an and in between the cells you want to combine, right? If you want to combine here like A2, A3 and B3, then you just put an ampersand in between. You select A3, you put in an ampersand, and you select B3 and you combine it. But we also need a space, so we add a space, right? How do we do it? We add a space like this, right? So in between there is a space, and then we do an and. Now it is here. So if I don't put an and after the space, you see B3 is not colored. So it is saying that B3 is not involved in this function right now if you do not put an ampersand. So if I hit on enter, you see Excel will give me an error. I'll help you guys once again. Now there is an error. There is a problem with this formula. So Excel will give me this error, right? So we put in an and here. And now as you see, B3 is also colored. Now we put an enter. Similarly, go ahead with the rest, right? So this is how we use ampersand to join the data, right? So the next thing that we have for the day today is conditional formatting. So what is a conditional formatting? So in conditional formatting, we provide some visual functions to the values in the form in Excel, right? So let me help you with this. Now I have sales reps. So these are sales staff, if you'd say staff, Nancy, Andrew, Jan, etc. So these are the sales staff. Their sale in 2015 was around this 900K, and in 2016 it went down to 960K. And the plus minus percentage is basically the growth in the sales. If there was, like if someone was doing better in the previous year than this year, so we have calculated this, the growth rate. And let's not go with the formula right now. Just remember that this is a growth rate that we have. Okay. Then we have sales for this month. the return and the sales percentage, right? Now my manager comes in, he's like, Anup, there is a lot of data here. I just want to see who comes up bright, who has the best sales. In the first look, I want to see that. I don't want to go ahead with all this data churning and data manning here. And I want to see which all people are shining in my sales staff. So what do we do, right? So he asks me some few things here. So in the growth rate, highlight the positive as green and negative as red. So basically here, the ones that have a positive growth means their sales of 2016 was more than their sales of 2015, should be represented as green, like 55 here, 0.8 here, 25.6 here. So they should be represented as green. But someone who has a negative growth rate, their sales in 2016 has fallen from 2015, those should be presented in red color. So what do? We select this range of data in which we want to apply the conditional formatting. In the home tab, again in the home ribbon, in the styles group, you see this? The styles group, you will find an option called conditional formatting, right? So we have very different types of conditional formatting. We'll do a few of these today, and then you can practice the others home at your own pace. So what it says, we'll do the color scales first. So you see here an option, green, yellow, red. We have red, yellow, green. Then we have green, white, red, right? So we select this option called green, yellow, red. Now what is happening? It has given me 3 colors, but I only want 2 colors. I want green for the positive ones and red for the negative ones, right? But it has also given me yellow for the ones that are in between. So what do? I reselect it. I go to conditional formatting here. I click on manage rules. So these are the rules that are working behind it, right? So this is the rule that is working behind this range. If I can show you, magnify it. So you see E3 to E21. Graded color scale, the name of the rule is graded color scale. The format is like this in the color scheme, red, yellow, and green. And it is applied to E3 and E21, right? So this is my range, as you can see, E3 to E21, right? So I click on this, I edit this rule because I only want 2 colors. So I edit the rule. It says format style. I want a 2 color scale and not a 3 color scale, right? So I select the 2 color scale. Now what do I have? The minimum value that has been taken as the lowest value in the range that we have, right? And the maximum is taken as the highest value. So I hit on OK and I apply this rule. Hit on OK again. So now you can see my percentages which are positive are in green color and the ones that are negative are in reddish color, right? So we can also do a control Z, which is an undo function here, and this looks a better version. So how this is helping the management in the position here is, as soon as you see this color scale, you directly go to this person called Karen Hammond, which had a 93.7% rise, right? You can directly see her. And the next one comes in and Jan Kotas. So you can directly see this person. Yes, these are the 2 people who had maximum growth rate from 2015 to 2016. Also, your eyes will go directly to these two people, Laura and David, that had the least growth rate, which was in negative. So this is how conditional formatting helps us. So I'll do some more options of conditional formatting. That will make a lot of things clear for you. So let me do some more examples, right? So in the sales, let us highlight top 5 cells as blue and highlight cells above the average as orange. So what it is saying, the top 5 sales should be highlighted as blue, and the cells, the sale value which is above the average of all these should be highlighted as orange. So what do I do? Again, I select all, right? In the conditional formatting, I use highlight cells rules, right? So I use a function of top or bottom rules. Let's do the top 5 first, and then we'll do the average. So the top or bottom rules, it is asking me top 10 items or top 10%, or top bottom 10 items or bottom 10%, above average or below average. It gives me the direct option. So, but I want a top 5. So I click on this top 10, right? And I just, let me maximize it for you. So see, it is asking me these format cells that rank in top, but I want only top 5. So I do it for top 5. Now it is asking me what format do you need? Light red fill, red text, red border. I don't want anything. So I go for a custom format here, right? And I want it a fill of blue. So I select a blue, a dark blue. Let us select a dark blue, and the font, just a second. So let's go ahead with the lighter blue, and then we select OK, and then OK here, right? So you can see now my top 5 sales values have been colored in blue. Now I have the next thing which says highlight cells above the average as orange. So I again select the whole. I go to conditional formatting, select the whole, conditional formatting, and then I do an above average as orange. So again, this is asking, what do you want to do? You want to fill it with red color, yellow color, green color. Again, I don't want any of these options. I go to the custom filter. I say give it a light orange kind of a shade, and I give it OK. Now, OK. So you see, my top 5 values are in orange, are in blue, and my values which are above the average are in orange. Let's do one more example. Make data bars assuming all values are out of 100, 800. So I have this return. So there is one more option of conditional formatting called data bars. So it will help in visualization in a very clean manner. That let me just show you with an example. So let's do a solid fill. You see, now you see there are data bars as per the value. So the value was 20, so the bar is a smaller bar. So the value is 487, the bar is a little bigger bar, but the highest value is taken as the biggest bar value. So 650 is considered is the biggest bar, and out of 650 the values for these bars have been calculated, right? But for us here, the bar should be out of 800, so that 650 doesn't take a lot of space. So what do? We go to conditional formatting. We select it first, conditional formatting, and go to manage rules. Now it is asking me for this rule. I say yes, and I edit this rule here, right? I edit the rule, Now it is asking me, what is the maximum do you want? So for the maximum, I'm not saying automatic. I'm saying I have a number for that, and I'll put 800. So all the values should be ranked out of 800. I click on OK and I click on apply. Now you see 650 has been adjusted as per 800. So there is a clear vision for 650 as well, that there is a more room to develop for this person, which is in the 11th row, right? So this is how we work with data bars. So this was color scales, right? These both are color scales options. This is a data bar option. Now let's go with some icon option. So the sale percent, I want a green circle if the icon, if the sale percent is greater than 10%, I want a green circle there. If a sale is between 5% to 10%, I want an orange circle there. And if a sale is less than 5%, I want a red circle there. So what do? Again, I select this whole, I go for conditional formatting. Now you see this option called icon sets. I use this, I use the shape, the green, amber, and the red circle. I use it. But now this is not giving me what I require, because I require everything that is above 10% should be green, above or equal to 10%. This is not green. This is not green, right? And this is also not green. This is red. So what do? I select again. Again, I go to manage rules. So Excel will apply default, the rules it has on its own. But if you want to make your own specific rules, then you can also change them. So in the icon set, I edit this rule. Now look at this. Let me maximize. So it is saying when the value is greater than or equal to 67, which is a percentage type. So it has agreed with us that we have put in percentage data there. Then give me green. But for me, I want this value to be 10 and not 67, right? Now, when the value is less than 10 and greater than or equal to 5, as per my requirements here, you see 5 to 10%, I want an amber circle, right? And when it is less than 5, it is going to go red. I click on OK. So what did we do? We just changed the values here, which were default taken by Excel. So what did we do? We checked on, changed the 67 value to 10%. So it is like green when the value is greater than or equal to 10%. Orange when the value is less than 10 and greater than or equal to 5, which says between 5 to 10%, give me orange. And when it is less than 5%, give me red. I click on OK. I click on apply and again OK. Now see. Now I have the results that I want, right? 10%, 7%, 16%. Anything which is above 10% is green. 5 to 10 is amber, orangish color, and the ones which are less than 5 are red. So conditional formatting helps us to, get to the point where we want our manager or our leadership or to anywhere, anyone we are presenting the data, and get their focus to that very data point. So if I want my manager's focus in the growth, I'll say these two people have done the best, these two people have done the worst. So you directly go, the focus directly go with the help of conditional formatting. So this is very important. I have some few example listed. Let's do it very quickly. So let's highlight values which are greater than 10, right? So what do? I select this whole database. I go to conditional formatting. I go to highlight cell. It says greater than option. I choose that greater than 10 with, again, whatever you want to use as your formatting. It is all on your creative skill. Then you want what kind of color, what kind of fill. Like I go for a green here. So greater than 10 with a green fill and dark green text applied. So this is how it will go. Let's see what all do we have. Highlight values greater than average. So we select this, we go for conditional formatting, we go for greater than average in the top or bottom rules with the second option in this one. Go for above average. Again, let's do it a green version. So, okay. So these are the digits which are above the average. So this is not a specific example. These are just hypothetical digits that I have plotted here, just for you guys to understand what are the capabilities of conditional formatting that we can use in our day-to-day lives, right? Now we have highlight duplicate values. So there can be duplicate values in the data which we need to see and check before we start working on it. So what do? We go to highlight cells, and there is an option called duplicate value in the first one. Again, we go for a green version. So it is doing it for duplicate. So now we have two options here. Either you go for duplicate or unique. So these are unique values which are only once in this database, and these are duplicate values which are more than once in this database. So we hit on an OK. So now as you see, 32 is here, 32 is here as well. So it has highlighted the duplicate values. Now we have highlight words that contain the letter X, right? Or we can do highlight apples. So wherever we have this apple, it should be highlighted. So this example presents you that the conditional formatting is not only applicable on the numeric data, it is also applicable on the text type data as well. So what do? We select this, we go to conditional formatting, we highlight cells and see text that contains. See this option? We go for text that contains, and we write an apple here. So let me show you an example like this. So you see, if I write an X, so it is highlighting all the values that contains an X, or an I. Now it is giving me all the values that contains an I, right? If I write apple, so it is giving me all the values that contains apple, right? So, okay. So now it has highlighted the text values as well. Last but not least, we can use an external reference to highlight data in the conditional formatting. How do we do it? Let me give an example. So it says only highlight cells that match the value in this cell, which is H50. This is H48. The cell I48, sorry. So the cell in the column I and row 48, we have this 11. So it says only highlight the cells that match the value in I48. So what do? We select all this, go to conditional formatting, right? When we say highlight cell that is equal to, right? Now in equal to, we can write, let us give it this our green color. So we can even write it here like 11, right? But we don't want 11 to be written. We want, if someone changes this value in I48, then my highlighter should also change, right? So what do? We just go for an equal to, and then we click on this cell I48. Now you see it says, let me maximize this for you guys. So what does this say? It is saying format cells that are equal to cell I48. Now you see $I and $48, so that our reference doesn't move here and there. So we have to freeze that. So this is frozen with the help of $sign, and it says with green, right? So we hit on OK. Now this is a function. Now what do we do? If someone changes the value here, like I have 18, now it will highlight the value 18. So if I have 40, it will highlight the value 40. If I have 13, it will highlight the value 13, right? So this is how the conditional formatting can work for the references which are outside the formula and are available in your worksheets. Any question, guys? So what did we do today? We cleared our doubts for the use of dollar, which was for cell fixing, which is in conceptual terms is known as a relative and absolute fixing of cells. Then we did something around concatenation, which is joining text. And then we did separating text. We did conditional formatting of most of the types for your usage. Any questions that arise in your mind? The files have been shared with you. I think this session is recorded as well. So we can call it a day for today. So any questions, anything that you want to ask around today's class, yesterday's class? Any questions? I don't think so. There are questions coming in. Great. So I think you guys understood. So it is very necessary for you all to practice conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is very much used in Excel, and as you see, the possibilities are endless here, because the way you present the data should be the best way your managers, your leadership, or the or the people to whom you are presenting that we can be done. So separate text. Okay, let me do it once again very quickly. So in the separate text, we have two options, right? What do we do? Let me go on a different sheet, choose 2-3 options from here, right? So in separate text, we have two options. Either you separate it by a special character. So what is a special character? Special character is an exclamation mark or an ampersand or a star or anything which is not a number or not an alphabet can be regarded as a special character in Excel here. So what do? We select all, we go to this data tab, we do text to columns, right? In text to columns, we have two options. Now here, as we have our special characters which are separating things like the dash here, so we use the option called delimited. If we do not have special characters, let me give you the examples simultaneously. So if I have this data again here, right, and it doesn't have the special characters, I just replace this by nothing. Okay, close. So I have now two things: one data with special characters, one data without special characters, right? So if we have data separated by special characters, what do? We go to data tab, we go to text to columns, and we use the delimited function. Hit on next. We use the other because it is neither a semicolon or a comma or a space. We use other. Put a dash here, right? with the dash and we use next, change it into text. This should remain as general. Now we have separated it. Again, the next option for this, we have without any special characters, we go to the data tab, we do text to columns, we used a fixed width, and in the next, see, we are using fixed width because we do not have a special character. Just remember this every time. If you have a special character, only then go for a delimited. So we go for a fixed width, and this is very very important to remember. You go only for a fixed width if you know that your data is a standard data, like it is not something that the country code are only of 2 digit. It is not a 3-digit country code somewhere and 2 digits somewhere. Then it will break the data, which will not be as per your requirement, right? So I do it here after 2 digits, because my country code breaks after 2 digits. Then I have year, which breaks, let me maximize it, sorry. So as you can see, I break it here after 2 digits. Then with the country code, I break it here. And the last one remains the same. So why I said you should remember that your data should be a standard data kind of version. Like if I use this formula and there was a USA here today, right? If I do a text to columns and do a fixed width, then the 2 digit, because on the rest of the data, there is only 2 digits for the country code. Then I go for the year, and then the rest is the invoice number. And I do the next, and just let's finish it right now. So the A now cuts here, you see, and the 2015, the 5 of 2015 has moved to the next column. So you have to be very careful while working with the text to column option, so that you have to know that your data is standardized and the data is not unevenly distributed, so that the text to column works very well with you. One last thing, I think it will be clear now. One last thing, I want you guys to start using the shortcuts in Excel. So how do you evoke shortcuts? It is very easy. Just press Alt, right? As soon as you press Alt, let me, so you see here, I have some tabs here. Yeah. So as soon as you press Alt, like in data tab, we use the text to column function, right? So if you are on the page layout tab or anywhere in the Excel, like if you are in the home tab, so what do? You press Alt, Alt, Alt button. You see, there are letters that come in for each and every tab. So now these are shortcuts, right? Like for data, if you want to open the data ribbon, you have to press A, right? I press an A. Now it has opened the data ribbon on its own. Let us do it once again. I am at the home tab. I press Alt, right? When I press Alt, it says choose the letter associated with the tab you want to open. So as I want to open the data tab, which will open me the data ribbon, I hit on A. It says A here. See, I hit on A. Now it has opened the data tab. Now, as I want to do text to columns, it has said E. I hit on E. Now my text to column wizard, this box has been opened. So this is how you can do anything and everything in Excel with the help of keyboard. Like I like in this one, I go for an alt, right? If I want to put a border, H is for home, B is for border, and for all borders, it is A. So I put in a border here, right? Alt, the letters come in, right? With the help of Alt, Control C H. H is for home, C here B, no, B is for border, and then we have A is for all borders. So each and every step can be done with the help of keyboard. Now it is all on of you, whatever steps that we have done in font selection, bold, italics, underlining, border, color, text size, anything, merge and center, also like we did yesterday. Anything and everything can be done using the keyboard with the Alt key, right? So I think we can call it a day today, and any questions you can shoot it to me today, and or you can practice it. You can ask even Param sir in the evening session if you guys join it. And I will also try if I could join the evening session, because my working hours at the company, like it has started now from 12 to 10 or 11. So that is why I had to take the sessions in the morning. So thank you, everyone. This was delimited concatenation conditional formatting for you guys for the day. And just one thing, I've shared these files with you guys. So try to imitate whatever was done today in those files, like concatenate and use the options for conditional formatting. Explore more into conditional formatting, because there are a lot of things that we have not covered today in conditional formatting which can be done. So I think, okay, so let's call for the day.
Thank you, Anup. Thank you, everyone. Yes, we can call it for the day today. One thing I would like to say, guys, as we told you earlier as well, that we have handpicked certain features and functions of Excel, which comes under the category of advanced Excel as well. So a lot of functions and features which we practiced and did today with Anup, they usually comes under the advanced Excel part, like conditional formatting, using these formulas, freezing these cells, concatenations, and all the versions of concatenations. So we have handpicked all those features and functions which a people, be it in the corporate as well, come across in a day-to-day life. So thank you once again, Anup.
Also, one thing, be ready for the quiz tomorrow. So you have to practice everything that we did today and yesterday as well. So also I have given, I'm really sorry, I sent it privately to some other ones. So request you guys to read about pivot tables, PIVOT TABLES. So this is very important in Excel. So just give it a read before coming to the class tomorrow, right? Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining in today.